Call not the meeting to order. We're going to first conduct a public hearing relative to the Arundel Utility Safety Municipal Development and Tax Increment Financing District, or for short, the CMP TIF District. We'll take comments, questions, etc. with respect to it. Let's do this in an orderly fashion. If you have either comment or question, please raise your hand. Identify yourself for the record, and we'll proceed from there. So maybe we could begin. I don't want to put you on the spot, but can you give us a quick overview of where we are and what we're doing? And we appreciate it.
Okay, well, thank you for not putting me on the spot. My name's Tad Redway, I'm the town planner. Very simply put, this district, this TIF district, is dedicated for providing life-saving equipment for the fire department and ensuring that there's a steady stream of revenue to make sure that the equipment that we need is going to be provided over the span of this particular TIF. The TIF is basically in an area where we have a guaranteed return on it. There is nothing speculative about this. This district is in the CMP corridor. It is covering basically the improvements that CMP has actually almost completed, called the 345 kV power line, the main power reliability program. And you probably, anybody who's driven down Limerick Road or 111, you've seen those giant poles going up. That's basically the area that we're covering. And what we're doing with this TIF is we're taking the increased valuation of those improvements there, and we're capturing that value under the TIF district and dedicating those monies to use in supplying the kind of wildland firefighting and other kinds of firefighting equipment and rescue equipment that the fire department needs. What's the advantage to the TIF? Why don't we just do that by a regular dedicated account? Well, the advantage to the TIF, Tax Increment Financing District, is one of the few tools, in fact it's just about the only tool the state gives municipalities to use tax dollars for economic development purposes. In this particular case, what it does is it takes that captured value, and the captured value is the value of the property before the improvements. In other words, the value of that CMP corridor prior to them putting in the power lines, and then takes the value after they put in the power lines, and that difference in valuation is called the captured value. That value is basically shielded from consideration in future tax appropriations at the state level. It's shielded from the use of use in the county tax. It's also shielded from being counted in the school apportionment formulas. It's also shielded from being used when the state determines also a revenue sharing amount. So in a sense, it's a tax shelter for the municipality. And you can have it for any period of time. We're looking at 30 years because we think we can get the maximum amount of revenue that the fire department needs to meet its goals, and use the TIF district to the best advantage for the town. In that 30-year period, we will have a tax shift. So that, in a nutshell, a large nutshell, is what's going on.
Questions, comments, anyone?
Just one comment.
Identify yourself, Diane.
Sorry, Diane Robbins, RSU School Board member. Just so everybody's clear, the one piece that this is not sheltered from is the cost-sharing formula between the RSU school districts.
Anyone else? Mr.
Jack Reeds. How much revenue is projected over those 30 years, and what percentage of that will it be of the total department budget?
I'll field that one. Total captured revenue is approximately $545,000, Jack. And it won't be a portion of the actual fire department budget, but it will be used to defray the costs of apparatus that we may or may not necessarily purchase through the departmental budget.
Will it then reduce the budget?
Yes, it will reduce the capital reserve needs of the fire department.
Anyone else? Jack,
One
yeah.
further question, that 545,000, is that spread evenly over the period?
In the calculations that we're using now, yes. The exact appraisal figures from Central Maine Power aren't available to us right now, but it may increase as time goes on if they do additional improvements or they find additional value in the improvements that they've done.
Thank you.
Yes, Tim.
Sam Hall. A question, this is to be used for the purchase of fire equipment, is that true?
That is correct.
Could you give us an idea of the amount, of the value, and the type of equipment that's going to be purchased?
Yep, absolutely. We're looking at a brush truck, which is to assist in the wildland interface where woods and brush come in contact with homes. It's a vehicle that can make it off-road. Approximate value of that vehicle is about $110,000. A UTV, which is a universal terrain vehicle, which would assist in rescue efforts along the corridor if anything were to happen there. All equipped, that vehicle is approximately $40,000. That would be the first 6 years of that phase, and then the next phase would be the purchase of a frontline attack pumper, four-wheel drive to be able to also access that corridor, as well as station improvements if deemed necessary by the purchase of that equipment.
Follow up if I may. So will the purchase of these trucks be financed? In other words, the cash flow coming in from the tax abatement, is that consistent with the outlays that are needed?
There may be a few years where there's a necessity to appropriate approximately $2,000 or $3,000 from the fire department's budget in order to make up for some shortages. But what we're planning to do is to allow the funds to accrue and either lease purchase the equipment, so those funds that are coming in will cover those costs, or to do a bond package. If it is a bond package, it'll have to go out to the town at a town meeting vote. If it's lease purchase programs, the selectmen are authorized to enter into those agreements.
Thank you.
Yes, Dan.
Tat Redway, Mr. Chairman, at the risk of clarifying my boss on something.
It's a
Todd
big
is-
risk.
Yeah, it's very risky. It's been very nice knowing you. The figure that Todd brought up was the tax shift amount.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, the attorney has recommended we make it very clear that the actual total revenues that would be generated by the district, as we're projecting right now, is $870,218. And that's assuming a steady state
Over 30 years.
over 30 years. That's assuming that the revenue stays the same, which it will. If anything, it might increase.
Thank you.
Yeah, if I have a follow-up on that, then $800 and some thousand will be generated, I would use that word, and there's about $200,000 to be spent on equipment?
Oh, much more than that. That first phase was $161,000. The frontline attack pumper is approximately $425,000. Fire station improvements would be another 2 to
15 to 2.
yeah.
Okay, thanks.
We've taken into account debt service with that.
Yeah.
Diane Robbins. I just have a question. This equipment seems to be pretty specialized, and is that because the money from this TIF needs to be used within this corridor? Is that?
There's got to be kind of a nexus between what you're buying and.
Okay, well, no, I just wanted to make sure that I was clear, because, but I'm curious though, because there's other stuff that could be used within this corridor, like our regular fire trucks would have to service this area, so would any equipment that we use, like their uniforms and their fire gear. I'm just curious as to how much we've needed this equipment in the past. Because I don't want to see happen is I don't want to see a lot of investment into equipment that's going to sit and be used once every 10 years. I guess I want to make sure that this is, if we did something like this and invested it, because I think that there are plenty of ways we could invest it to be used within that corridor. I just want to make sure that we're using it in equipment that we're actually going to get use out of, and I'm not questioning it, I question everything.
Well, I see another people here with, who might be able to answer that question, Reynolds or Chief or.
Yeah, now, after sitting down with the town manager and TAC and stuff, the forestry truck that we're looking at, the UTV, is something that we really have no access to anything off-road right now with the equipment we have. We'd have to depend on Kennebunk or Biddeford and wait for that. So one of the things that we thought of with the, anytime you put in a pole line or anything, then you get four-wheelers, you get trail bikes, you get snowmobiles, everything else, and we have no access to get to them with the big trucks we have now. They're not off-the-road vehicles, and that's why we went this way. And as you well know, Arundel's is one of the many towns in Maine that still has a lot of woods and stuff. We've just been fortunate in the last few years that there hasn't been a lot of woods fires. So that's the reason we went that way to start with originally. And with obviously with the trail they have now, there's more, another way for us, people to get hurt or something, need to be able to go get them or whatever, however you say that. So that's why we're doing that. And as we don't, right now, we just don't have the equipment available to cover that as good as we should.
Chief? Anybody else have a question or comment? Pro or con? Jack again.
One more, Jack Reeds. I haven't heard much mention of EMT-related equipment. Is that also eligible during this period? And if so, what needs do we have in the next several years?
Mr. Chairman, Chief, I think you could answer, but I'll just give a quick answer to the UTVs. Got basically an insert. There's two inserts in the UTVs. One is a wildland firefighting insert, which is basically a diamond plate unit which slides into the back of the UTV. The UTV's got a small little pickup section in the back of it. And one of them is actually an EMT unit that slides. It's a rescue unit. It has a stretcher on it and also a seat for the paramedic or the EMT to sit on. And I would say that the town and the chief can modify this. We can modify the scope or the inventory of equipment that's necessary as this goes along, as long as it stays within the confines of the agreement we have with the state. But if there's a need for more EMT equipment instead of, let's say, wildland, we have training in there. And if there's a need for wildland, instead of wildland firefighting training, you don't need that many guys to get red cards. They need more EMT equipment or more EMT training. That flexibility is there, and we can modify the terms of this contract with the state at any time.
Anything else? Okay, seeing no other hands then, we will close the public hearing. And we're going to take a short, brief recess here for our clerk to sign in registered voters and distribute cards and elect a moderator. Okay, so don't go anywhere.
So anyone who wishes to